bowing or something where your body wants to slow down, but the music doesn't let you, what tends to happen unless we're using a metronome?
You, some parts you go faster, and then the other parts you slower.
Right. So the only way to ensure that you know where your tendencies are and to make sure that you're feeling the pulse correctly is to use your metronome. Professional musicians use their metronome, I would say, a good 50% of their practice, a lot of them. And that's like grand total, 50%. If you want to get something faster, then we have to set goals for ourselves, right? So if you can play through the whole piece at a quarter note is, well, what's your perfect tempo, by the way? About 80? So let's say that you can play through the whole thing comfortably at 70. But once you get to about 75, things start to get a little tricky. Well, you wouldn't know where those spots are that are problematic until you're using your metronome, right? So that means you need to be pushing yourself and seeing if you can get to 75 that day, even if it's not perfect. And then the next day you could try.
Another.
Well, give me an example, please.
You could try 80.
80, and then the next day you could try 85. And eventually 80 is not going to feel so bad anymore, but you have to keep pushing your limits with that metronome. Before you know it, you might be able to play 95, might not be perfect, but then 80 is going to feel like a breeze. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll maybe do a little bit of that today if we have time. So from the beginning.
Do I repeat?
I'd like to hear the whole thing as in performance, so yes, I'll repeat. Please stand towards the middle of the carpet. So if we were performing this, there was a repeat there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's going very well, though. Going very well. So can we go just a couple bars before that repeat and take the repeat, and then we'll go back?
So,
Wherever's comfortable. So you can just pick a spot with 1 or 2 bars before the repeat, and then we'll repeat. Go ahead. Let's go back to the same spot and then continue on to the second minute. From da 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 bum 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 from that A. So 1 and 2. But sweetie, it's a down bow. 1 and 2. Ba-da. Good. So lots of good things. Our primary issue right now does have to do with tempo, and also we seem to be ignoring some of the stuff that I had marked in before. If you notice, there's a fair amount of spots where I pointed you out to some pretty blatant intonation problems that weren't fixed. So what were you doing to fix those?
Well, I was playing this part over and over. But I
Okay.
think it's like because sometimes when I play something and I get used to it, then it's harder to change it.
Well, of course. That's because does your brain and your body know the difference between an F sharp and an F natural? Well, your brain does, but your body doesn't if it's been practicing it a particular way. Because then your ear, right, and your fingers think, oh, that's the right note. So we need to approach it a slightly different way because that should only take a few days to fix one of those errors, but you need to be practicing it efficiently. So if we need to fix both the G natural, the F natural, and the C natural in this bar, if you want it fixed in 3 days, what do you need to do?
I need to keep playing this part and like.
Well, let me give you some steps. Because, of course, it's always helpful if we have a plan of attack, right? So here's what I would do first. Play each note twice, regardless of the rhythm. So we're going to go from the beginning of this bar here, from the G sharp, we're going to play each of those 2 bars, but with just 2 bows per note. Now, of course, we need to think about why it is that we keep playing a G sharp and an F sharp. There's a very good reason why we're playing a G sharp and an F sharp there. Why?
Because it's
No, it has nothing to do with sounding correct. What did you have just before it?
oh yeah, C sharp and a G sharp and an F sharp.
Right. So unless we consciously move our fingers back and prepare them, will they be ready? No. So we can also add in a pause. Let's do this. So we're going to play doubles. Listen. And then we're going to take a pause on the A. And we're going to move our G sharp and our F sharp back. So I'm going to put it in a space here, right here, like this. We're going to take a pause, and when we place that third finger A, what are we going to do with our G sharp and our F sharp?
You shift them.
Perfect, right? So doubles from the G sharp. 1, 2, ready. Sweetie, please look at your left hand position. Let's get that magic X up just there. We go. Thumbs up nice and high. Boy, that looks so much more comfortable than before. Now, is it possible for you to rest a little towards your fiddle? Hold on, sweetie. Can you tell a little bit? There we go. Is that okay? Does that feel comfortable on your jaw? In general, our violin's been a little too up here, I think, to be more comfortable. Okay. Now, also, it looks like we're clenching a little bit. Can you let everything sink a little more? Let both of your elbows sink. Now lift your jaw off the jaw rest. And go, no. Yes. And then rest on the jaw rest. Now, I want you to do me a favor. Put your tongue in between your teeth, in between your molars, just a little bit. I want to see if we're squeezing with our jaw. 1, 2, ready, go. But we need to start with the G sharp prepared, sweetie, before we even begin. Okay? 1, 2, ready, go. Ready, thumbs up nice and high. Ready, go. Now pause and prepare everybody. Now notice your first finger's having a heck of a time reaching that F because it's way down here, sweetie. Yeah, get that magic X up. There we go. Now let the first finger just extend back. There we go. Ready, go. So we don't need to be quite so far back. Ready, go. Now that half step from C to B, play D, D. Way up, sweetie. Ah. That's a B. So let's try that again. We're going to do this a few times. I would recommend repeating each of these steps a minimum of 3 times. Okay? If you need to, you can also do them 5 times. If you really want to make sure something's perfect, 5 times rule it. Have we talked about the 5 times rule? What is the 5 times rule?
You play it 5 times and it goes slower until faster.
That's part of it, but the 5 times rule means that you're not just playing it 5 times. It means that it has to be correct 5 times
In a row.
in a row. Right, so even if you get to number 5 and it doesn't happen, you got to start back over again at
1 or 0.
0. You don't get 1 until you've done it correctly, right? And so start from G sharp and F sharp. Thumbs up nice and high, sweetie. Now rest your elbows and ready, go. Now if you need to, it's okay to look at the music for now if you want to really make sure you got it. Okay. Magic X up a little bit. Ready, go. Now pause, gently place everybody, make sure the G is not too low. Ready, and A looks like it's going to be a little too low. Ready, now what's 4 doing? Why is he doing that? We're going to meet him soon. Ready, go. Good. Good listening. And let's go ahead and go all the way to the open A. That way we can hear the entirety of the scale. Okay? So one more time. We're going to take a little bit less time for the pause, though. Okay? Doubles. 1, 2. Yes, but every time, do check that left hand. Ready, go. Now pause, pause. Ready. Make sure that G's not too low. I can see it already. Ready, go. Notice how it's already getting better. Now, is there a reason why we're using the 4th finger for the E instead of open E? Now, I would prefer the open E, not only because it's easier, but which group of notes does that E belong with? Does it belong with the, or is it, does the E belong with the 16th notes that came before or came after it? Right, so even though these are separated by a beat, it's obvious belongs together and belongs together, right? They make a group of notes. So why separate them to a string that has a different sound, right? When you can use an open E. Now, no space, but still doubles 3 times. 1, 2, ready, go forward. I always take that second to check everything, make sure you're nice and loose, nice and tall, and ready. The pinkies in close. Ready, go. Sure likes to move around a lot right now. Is that necessary? Probably means he's squeezing, right? So let the thumb just hang on up nice and high. Again, 1, 2, ready, go. Ready. So we're starting on the G sharp. 1, 2, ready, go. Go a little faster. And I appreciate how you're checking everything there every time. It looks so good. 1, 2, ready, go. Beautiful. See, it's feeling easier and easier all the time. Now, let's try it just singles. Okay. 1, 2, ready, go. Good. And we don't need to use a lot of, counting with our body. We can just let our bow do what it needs to do, a little faster. And 1, 2, rest and string. 1, 2, up. 1, 2, ready, go. Ready, go. Good. We'll take a listen to that D next time. A little faster. 1, 2, ready, go. Up, ready. 1, 2, ready, go. That's okay, but that's good. We noticed that. We say, I don't need to use it. Now, if you want, you can even write in yourself a reminder. Put a 0 above that E. All right. Go ahead and set it up on the stand. You might need it here in a minute. So doubles again, or singles. And go ahead, rest in the string, nice and tall. 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, one more try. Now, if that happens at home, make yourself do the 5 times rule. Do it correctly 5 times. We don't have time to do that here. 1, 2, pinky. 1, 2, ready, go. Beautiful. Now we're going to add the well, how about the rhythm? And let's not worry about the trill for now, okay? So you said 80 was your perfect tempo, right? So we're going to start at 40. Same spot. You really need to get, you're just squeezing the life out of your violin, and remember it has to sing. Okay. So that's actually twice too slow. How fast are your 16th notes? 1, 2, ready, oops, 1, 2, pinky, 1, 2, ready, go. Tricky, right? Let's try again. Remember, no trill. Good. Okay. Now, I want you to listen to my bow stroke. What bow stroke is this? Remember that click, click, click. Click, 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 click. What is that called? Do you remember? That would be, that'd be more of a spiccato. But remember, staccato is not a bow stroke. Staccato is an indication. There's a lot of different bow strokes you can use to realize that. So what is that sounds like this? Martelet is the poof, right? Like at the beginning. So to the D. Have we talked about that one? Détaché. We haven't talked about détaché. Okay, so the 3 basics, of course, martelet, legato, and détaché. So détaché is still very connected, very in the string, and what makes it so crisp is that click, 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 click. Hear how we don't let the weight out of the string? It makes a very clear separation of notes. Can you do that in open A for me? We're going to play. Now yours is too nice. I want to have a little less bow, a little more weight in the string. Can you turn a little bit towards me? Here, I'm going to help out. Hand over your other hand mark whenever we're not using this hand. Good. Turn a little more. So we want to hear that click, 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 which means you don't need to use as much bow, just more weight. Do you hear that? Notice you only had to use that much bow, and you have a perfectly clear sound. People will hear that in the back of a concert hall. Your turn. So just melt into the string, just rest in, and you'll get that big click. Go ahead. Let's give our pinky a break. He's doing a lot of extra work right now. Ready, go. Ah, that's what you need for every single note that's not a martelet in this song. Almost every single one. Now. And keep that same sound. So you only need that much bow. 1. So prepare your F sharp and your G sharp. And 1, 2, ready, go. Beautiful. Now notice, it takes almost no effort to do that well. Isn't that nice? Why do you think it is that every great professional violinist who's ever lived makes it look easy? Yeah, when you do it correctly, it is easy. It doesn't feel hard, right? Isn't that nice? Instead of, to play every note, it's, oh. So now we're going to try a little faster. We're going to up the ante to 50. hold this much bow instead of, I don't need that much. So remember, melt in, just a little bit of bow. 1, 2, 3. We gotta let that thumb go. He's doing so much squeezing. 1, 2, 3. Good. Our B natural needs to really just kind of sneak up next to the C again. 1, 2, 3. Now do you hear the bow like down? Why? That and that pinky. That pinky and that thumb. If they're squeezing, we get the bow jitters. So, one more time. Same speed. So just rest in the string. Remember, if your fingers are close together, you're going to get all the sound you need. 1, 2, 3, go. Less bow, sweetie. Closer to the bridge. 1, 2, 3. You can still get away with less bow, I swear. Think very smooth but in the string. Right now we're kind of going, da, 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 da. We're kind of speeding up the bow. Just stay in the string. 1, 2, 3. And notice no bow jitter. Isn't that nice? Okay, now a little faster. And so the faster we go, the less. Right. No, the less bow you need. If we were using this much before, now we only need this much. Ready? So melt in. Let it be easy. Rest towards your fiddle. Let's move our. There we are. Good. Thumbs up nice and high. Oh boy, why are we squeezing so hard? Nice and easy. Remember, rest in the string. First finger's way around the bow. There we go. That's how you get the biggest sound. 1, 2, 3, go. Good, so leave that bow in the string. Just rest in the string. 1 inch of bow. 1, 2, 3, go. Beautifully. Hear how clean that is? So nice. Now, 70. Remember, even less bow now. Stay close to the bridge, melt in. Okay. Everybody's squeezing so hard. 1, 2, 3, go. So we're starting to let the bow skitter on top of the string. Stay in the string. Solid. 1 inch. 1, 2, 3, go. Ah, better. Remember, very in the string, even less bow. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. Let's make sure we get both of those slurs at the beginning, but very easy. 1, 2, 3, go. How clear that is? Now, we're already up to performance tempo. Why not? 1, 2, 3. Now, sweetie, I think we're worried that it's faster, not that it's actually harder. You can do this tempo, no problem. Make sure you're nice and loose, and just use less bow. 1, 2. So rest in the string. Remember, you only need like that much bow now. 1, 2. Rest in the string. Let's really rest. And let's get that violin in a spot where it can be a little more comfy. 1, 2, 3. See? No big deal. Let's do it again. 1. Watch that squeezing. Thumb up. 1. 1. First fingers around the bow. There we go. 1, 2, and just a tiny bit more twist. 1, 2, ready. So we get da 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 da. So that's just basically playing. Sweetie, all your bow's doing here is just for the first 3 bows, right? 1, 2, ready. You're already 10 clicks past what we want to be in performance. That's so hard.
No.
So, well, I'm going to give you a quick description of the other blue spots that we talked about today, but your primary objective is to pick one section a day. Let's say maybe about 4 lines or so, something like that. And it's going to change from day to day. And you're going to start all the way back at 40. And you're going to play with that same sort of sound. Not too much bow for the entire thing, unless you really need to open up for a long note. How many super long notes do we have in this?
Not that much.
There's like one half note in the entire thing, right? So the majority of this song is going to happen with about that much bow, I would say. You're going to keep that same sound, even when you have your marteles. Not going to use too much bow. When you're mezzo forte. Thing's going to take place from about here to here in the bow. It's going to be solid, and then you're going to go all the way from 40 up to 90 every single day for each of those sections, okay? By the next time I see you, you're going to feel like the whole thing is a breeze, and it's going to be very, very solid, okay? So, describe to me, what are all the blue things? Let's start from the beginning.
The dynamics.
Right, so the easiest way to accomplish that is to do what?
Is to put from soft up.
But how do we do that? I'm not asking what, I'm asking how. Well, but how do we accomplish going from mezzo forte to piano and then back to mezzo forte? What's the easiest way to do that? Well, how about if we're using this much bow for a mezzo forte, we just use that much for the piano, right? Right, now I didn't put that at the beginning for this one, but I did here. Less bow to more bow. When you do that, start bottom, sweetie, bottom, 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 bottom. Then just go to a little bit more bow every time. You can practice that on your own, okay? So that's the first thing. What's next?
Then I have to.
There, whenever we have that cadence that has the trill coming up, we tend to slow down a lot. So I put an arrow there, and I put an arrow here. So the metronome hopefully will fix that. But you have to practice those bars that have ornaments first, without the ornament, and then
with
right, we haven't done it with the trill yet. You still need to go back through it and then add the trill slow to fast, okay? Does that make sense? Write that in. Use your pencil. So this needs to be, you have to double up on these with your metronome. One, you have to do it without the ornament, then you have to do it with the ornament slow to fast, okay? Whenever you're doing your run-throughs, oh, sorry, go ahead. Okay, and when you're done, so first, pick 4 to 5 lines to do metronome practice, go through the blue spots, and then finish with 2 run-throughs a day with the metronome. Sound good? Okay. We need to, I'd like to hear one more thing today. You can lean into the first notes of those a little more, that's fine. That way they won't feel rushed and it'll feel more stylish. Next page, more cantabile means what?
more singing.
Right, right. So that means you can use a little smoother. Sweetie, what is this? The bow, right, right. So instead of see what I mean? You can just kind of start to smooth out the edges a little bit, okay? All right, we do need to move on though. Make sure you're light and quick here at the frog. We'll talk more about that next time. Can you open up at least one of your etudes? I haven't gotten to in a little while. You've just gotten started on. Oh yeah, let's run it. We need to get you on a new one. Very good, Phil. I don't want you to be on this one any longer than a week. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, 3. So that starts on an up bow. That's on the end of 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep going, keep going. Good. Let's skip it. Let me see your book. Let's pick up a new one. I want to make sure you got all the basics here. Okay. This one's very similar, slightly more challenging. Has some finger patterns, but I'm not too worried. Let's skip ahead to number 34 now. Number 30. Did you ever do number 34? So it has a lot of nice variations. So first you play it, the original. Just very easy. You're going to start with upper half, and can I see the pencil up there? Upper half and lower half détaché. Then I'm going to play through a couple of the variations really quick before our gets here. Thank you. All right. So first, upper half and lower half détaché. Upper half détaché goes from where to where in the bow?
It goes from the upper half to the middle.
Middle to the tip, right. Lower half détaché, of course, goes from the...
Middle to the front.
Right, but we would start at the frog, right. So first, start with those two. Make sure you got that all taken care of. And then I want you to practice this variation. This variation. Are you comfortable with doing different variations?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. This one's a good one. This is a good one. We haven't talked about Z bowings. Make sure you're careful about using less bow on the slur and more bow on the separate bow.
Yeah.
This one. Don't worry so much about the accents here, more about the rhythm, making sure the rhythm is nice and crisp. Let's stick with those ones for now. Now, part of the trick of learning how to do variations is splitting it up into sections, and sometimes doing one variation for the first section, another variation for the next section, and then another one for another section. That way you can go through the whole thing twice and get through pretty much every variation. Does that kind of make sense? So give me an example of how you would do that. Let's say you were starting your variations, and we were using those slash marks as a guidepost. We would start by doing variation number 1 from where to where.
From here to here.
Right, and then variation number 2, you could go
From here to here.
right, and then variation 3.
From here.
We've already banged out 3 variations, right? No big deal. Sound good? It helps you save time. Cool, so we are going to have to stop now, so if you can put your stuff away. Did you want a stamp or a sticker?
Sticker.
Okay. Hopefully we'll be able to find a time maybe